Right.
All right.
Butcher that shit.
We live. We so live. Hello,
Ooh,
everyone. This is our Cat's-Gay, and I'm here with Feral J and Magnus and Swede number 2. What is your name again?
Roland.
Roland.
Really?
You know what? It was a little harder for me to
Oh my
distinguish.
god.
Well, here's the terrible thing. So, like in your podcast, there's only a static image usually. So it's actually kind of hard for me to know which one is talking all the time. But also, I'm a terrible jerk.
The power of this.
Oh my god, are you two going to be separated?
What? Oh no. But anyway, yes, we're here. We're
Oh my god, are you two going to be?
It's in case anyone's like, this is the Dead Red Herring podcast. It is not my podcast. It belongs to the fine gentlemen Roland and Victor in Sweden, and they
and Magnus too.
Yeah.
In fact, I think Magnus has got Victor's part.
Our friend GGTOW Berserker is not here at the moment, but he may not be because he's sleeping. I think.
Bastard.
Well, he was up really late, and it's very.
So was I. 7 a.m. in the morning sleeping.
I know.
On a Sunday, even.
And we certainly appreciate you being so flexible because, we have 3 different time zones here. Sweden, Arkansas. Is it Arkansas or Georgia that you're in? No, it's Arkansas that you're in, right?
I'm not even going to fucking talk to you for saying that.
He's in one of those. The so-called.
I'm from Arkansas, where men are men. You're talking about Georgia, where men are men and sheep are scared.
I see. now, exactly. Now, how bad is it when someone says they're from Arkansas? Is that?
I'm going to explain.
You hear people saying.
I'm serious. Some folks, usually out-of-staters, try to pronounce it like that, and I'm like, no, it has a silent S for some reason, even though some say it's a French word, and I'm like, yeah, bullshit. But, yeah, it's actually on our law books, and it has to be pronounced a certain way. I mean, how fucking petty can you get? Nobody cares.
That is petty.
It is actually on. You're kidding, right?
I shit thee not. It's in Arkansas Code annotated.
The Swedish grade of pettiness. Yeah, actually, the level of bureaucracy there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, there is in the Bay Area where I live, there's a town, Pittsburgh,
yep.
And
Arkansas Code annotated, section 1-4, subsection 105.
That is just nuts. Yeah, there's the town of Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania, obviously, and which is a historic steel town, and then there's Pittsburgh, California, in the Bay Area, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, actually sued Pittsburgh, California, and forced them to change their name, so they dropped the H that was at the end of Pittsburgh. Why anyone would actually want any kind of intellectual property dispute over a name, which I'm sorry to anyone who lives in either Pittsburgh, but I mean, no one really cared that much about the first Pittsburgh, so I'm not sure where this kind of I don't think it really matters, but that's the kind of things that people like to occupy their time with, I guess, when you have a
Pennsylvania just needs to do what we did. Nobody wants to steal the fucked up names we have for our towns.
You care to give us a few examples?
Neighboring town, right next to the one that I grew up in, is called Bald Knob.
Bald Knob. Okay.
Yes.
I just thought of a game which we're going to play right now. Okay. So, Farrell, you are going to name some kind of, like some of these weird names that for towns, and then our guests are going to try to pronounce them.
Hold on, let me pull up my list from work of every single town that we have.
And then, just to make matters fair, after once we have given them a strange town name, of course, our guests can return and give us a strange name, and we will do our best as American savages to pronounce them.
Oh my god!
Now, I'm going to give you a rule though, because Victor already showed that you cannot use anything from Iceland. Those people don't count; they're too weird.
And I'll go ahead and warn you ahead of time. Jag förstår lite svenska.
Hey, nice.
Okej, I'm editing.
Då kanske vi ska börja prata svenska bara för att.
Ja, vi kör på det tycker jag.
Ja.
Exactly. lite.
Okay, so, all right, the first girl, you will fire the first round, and then I will judge for a prize.
Hold on. God, why you gotta be so pushy? I'm gonna do this when I'm damn good and ready. Okay, I'm ready.
This is not a lesbian podcast. Do not ask each other for consent.
No, if this was a lesbian podcast, I don't know, we'd be coming each other's back here and feeding each other granola or something.
And then talking about
knives in the back all the time.
Penetration on a whole new level.
Ow.
You know, I use a shampoo which is specific for my back hair. It's organic. It's made in Poland, and so it's good.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I'm a male, okay? So I use like 36-in-1 body wash. It's got your body wash, your shampoo, your conditioner, your exfoliator. You can use it to de-ice your windshield, degrease an engine. I mean, it works for everything.
And what is the primary? what is the primary ingredient? Diet Pepsi?
No,
WD-40.
No. Hence the moisturizer.
I've actually
lubricates the joint.
I've actually bucked the millennial trend. I used to use a kind of a loofah and body wash like everyone else, but I actually have found that I prefer the simplicity and rustic wholesomeness of bar soap. But I spoil myself. I get the Dove bar soap. It makes me feel like I'm trying.
Okay, so are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah, you're gonna put it in the chat or what?
Oh yeah. Oh, that's what you should do. Yes, send it to them. That it'll be more because it makes. I just realized it makes no sense if you say it and then they just.
Should we pronounce that?
All right. Let me bring up the chat then. Cats, is it on your channel?
Yeah. Or you can just do it in the Hangout. There's the. Don't you have the Hangout messages on the side? Yeah, you just click on the chat icon, I think.
I'm stupid. Work with me here.
Oh yeah,
okay.
You just click on the chat in the upper.
Ooh, shiny. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the first one. Ball knob we've already done. Augusta.
August?
Real or fake?
I think that's real.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I've heard it before, so.
Okay, Cats, you gonna take score?
Sure. It's worth mentioning that we're playing a game that none of us actually know the rules to because it just made it.
I don't care.
The rules don't matter.
Okay. The rules are simple. I win.
Wait, what are we trying I was just trying to come up with towns that would be difficult for foreigners to pronounce and vice versa.
No, this is from Arkansas. It has to be very easy to pronounce or we're not going to fucking do it.
Okay, so now I started.
Okay, so Augusta's real. Next one.
We can actually make it real hard for you guys because we got our 3 extra letters.
You remember nothing from Iceland.
Yeah, true.
No, we're just going to go with Swedish names.
We don't need to have Icelandic names
nope.
to make it hard.
I pity anyone who watches it at this point just because, again, we're playing a game that none of us know what the rules are.
What's going on? I don't know.
It's kind of like very... It's. Wait, did you just send that one?
Yep. Next town is Toadsuck.
That just sounds obscene. I don't know who would live. I don't think any God-fearing people would live in the town of Toadsuck. Although,
I'm actually gonna show my prejudice here. Because whatever name you put in, I'm actually gonna believe yes, that's a real place.
Yeah. And you know what though? It's true. Like here, you know what? Here, let me share a one for you. See if this is a real Swedish town. Okay, and I want you to pronounce this, my friends. Okay.
Anticipation.
This is my interpretation of a Swedish city.
My spontaneous reaction to that was, "What the fuck is that, Dutch?"
so why don't you pronounce it, and we'll see how it sounds.
I'm just gonna have a weird Dutch accent on this one, actually.
Javurduktan.
You see, would now, Farrell, if you heard that, would you believe that that was a real Swedish place?
I would think you were full of shit.
No, not if I say it. If they say it. Say it again. Was it Magnus? Were you the one that pronounced it?
Yeah.
Say it again.
Javurduktan.
Yeah, it doesn't sound Swedish.
No. Okay. Wait. Hold on. There we go.
Hemlong. That could actually be a Swedish.
Ja, men om man sätter ett ä i början så...
Well, that would work with the E as well.
Yeah, I suppose.
Hemlong.
Hemlong.
Yeah. Actually, it's more like Norwegian.
Yeah, hemlong.
Here's another one.
The waffle.
Nuvensta.
Actually, yeah.
See, I'm like the Borg. I have adapted, and I can now make I can make an unlimited number of fake Swedish bucolic villages. And one more just for those.
I'm gonna give you one. Let's see if you can pronounce this.
Asphalt.
Asphalt?
Asphalt.
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 Espult.
Espult. We don't have that letter in English. I'm like I don't know what to do with umlauts. I really don't.
Well, that one in particular, it's the sound kind of like when you're saying fair.
Fair. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's that vowel sound.
So it's fault.
Espult.
Espult. Oh yeah, ph in English is a f sound, but it's literally a pult.
And it makes no sense as to why.
There's a very simple thing with English. Like, if anything that doesn't make sense, we blame the French.
I concur.
It is the Norman conquest is when English went from being a semi-Scandinavian language into a weird Latin, German, like inbred weird language that's still beautiful, but
it took the best parts of those two different language groups, put them together, and set them off in the corner where it wouldn't fuck with them, and it took the rest and kind of cobbled that shit together.
It really is a Borg language if you get right down to it, because if you look at it from like any kind of linguistic purity, it's all these misshapen parts that have just been kind of grafted together, and it doesn't always make sense, and it's like, what kind of hideous abomination?
If it were a character in a movie, it would be something found in the mad scientist's laboratory downstairs. It's like, kill me.
No.
Actually,
no. You know what it would be?
If we're going to be like that, Swedish is also like that, because we have influences from the Germanic and the Latin.
And Old Norse.
Old Norse. And we have a lot of terms borrowed from English, from French. It's like, yeah,
we have all of that, plus so English is kind of like Old English, which is Proto-Scandinavian basically, and then which also has kind of German in there, Latin, French, and I think there's a few others in there too. I was going to say, if English were a character, it would probably be one of the bosses in a Resident Evil video game with those weird asymmetrical arms. Yeah, and that actually can tie us into what we were talking about. I remember we were brainstorming last time what to talk about, and one of the things I suggested possibly was one of my favorite things in the world, anime.
Weeb.
I know. Now, Farrell, I don't know. Like, do you not? I don't know if we've even ever talked about this. Do you not watch anime, Farrell? Because you're making the face of like primordial disgust.
Well, I'm just thinking isn't that where the doctor gets that tube and kind of inserts it? Wait, that's not anime. Never mind.
No. That's your web.
Well, part of it, I guess.
No, I'm just not an anime type of guy.
Oh, well, we don't. It doesn't have to be just about anime. It can also be, again, this is just a free form, like anti-structuralist, kind of anarchy style topic, because you already know my powers for derailing any kind of plan. So we're basically using my powers to intensify the randomness. It's just completely unstructured nerdery flying around like
Randomness intensifies.
Mhm.
How postmodern of you.
I know. It's a conversation about the relationship between individuals and language and nostalgia and capitalism or gender or race or something. I don't know. Someone
We
throw
really
an
want to
ism
go
in.
into that
Woke
territory.
intensifies.
We've gone too long without an ism. We need an ism or a phobia or something to make this postmodern. Just it doesn't matter what it is. But somehow we have to bring it back to Marxism.
Neo-Puritanism.
Ooh, I like that.
Puritanism.
Oh my god. So here's a question. What would you say is the most popular anime in Sweden, my weeby friends?
Oh god, in Sweden.
I'm not sure anyone has ever asked that question before. What is the Sweden anime?
Okay.
In children's anime?
It's not less about demographics when it comes down to that.
like
But I
with all
think
anime.
actually, I know that Naruto is really popular
Of course.
among a lot of people.
There are
One Piece and
I mean it's really the same here. There are certain animes which are just popular everywhere, no matter what, which is Naruto, Naruto, One Piece. It was Bleach forever. I think that Bleach might finally have died off.
yeah, it has. They ended that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't actually watch a lot of anime anymore. I used to be very, very much into it. I realize that almost all of my television shows that I watch are old and over. I'm not sure when that happened exactly. There are a lot of new TV shows that I find interesting, but somehow I seem to be watching mostly old ones. For instance, I've spent the last month watching Stargate SG-1 from start to finish. I'm almost done with it, actually.
Welcome to life after 30.
I know. All downhill from here. And at the point where I start watching Stargate Atlantis and maybe even Universe, I'll know at that point that I have officially given up any pretense to a life. But
Oh no, there's some really good stuff out that okay, have you watched Altered Carbon?
I watched a few.
That's a good one.
episodes of it.
That's a really good one.
I don't know.
And The Man in the High Castle has reached season 3 now.
I've heard that one is good. I've watched a few episodes of Altered Carbon, and here
Isn't that on
Netflix.
HBO?
Which one?
No, it's Amazon.
It's Amazon.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of their in-house shows.
Now, you always hear about
Real Humans has moved on to season 3, the BBC version. Highly recommended.
So we always hear about geo-blocking with Netflix and a lot of US streaming services. So you guys have Netflix in Sweden.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I don't mean that in some sort of overly do you have Netflix where you
Oh my god, I'm thinking of that
Do you know
1980s
about
John Hughes
technology?
movie, Better Off Dead. Have you seen that, Cats?
Which one?
Better Off Dead?
It sounds familiar, but no, I don't think I have seen it.
Oh shit, have y'all seen it?
I don't recognize it.
No.
Oh god, I feel really old now. But
Why'd you
there's
think?
one part in it where there's a foreign exchange student, she's from France, and her host family, the mother of that family, just asked her these incredibly retarded questions.
Oh. Like, do you have bread where you come from?
Yes, basically.
Oh my god. No, I'm not an imperialist asshole asking if you have basic goods. It's more like I've noticed whenever you talk to people in Europe, you can't assume an American reality because some things about Europe are just plain bizarre, or maybe we're bizarre. I don't know. But
And for us, the American way is kind of bizarre. So
yeah, well, I mean,
I'm from Arkansas. We're pretty fucked up.
I remember when
we got you. So I mean,
I remember when I was getting some headphones for Victor, not because I'm a baller, but because the audio that he was using was it was unbearably awful, and I wanted to hear him when he actually made contact. So I kept asking him, well, why don't you get some headphones? And he's like, they're too expensive. And I was like, well, that's ridiculous. Just go on Amazon. So I did it, and then I tried to ship it there, and I was like, wait, what is this shipping charge? What is it? Why is there an import? And then before I realized it, the cost of the item had effectively doubled. And I was
Yeah.
like, why? What? And I think, and now,
I gotta ask a stupid question here, Cats.
yeah.
Did you try shipping it from the Swedish Amazon site?
You know, I didn't actually try the Swedish Amazon site. That would have been, but Victor sent me a couple of Swedish sellers that were, you know, that would have bypassed the import fee, but they were all much more expensive than anything I could find on Amazon. And I don't know, is that it? Just seems, is it all items on Amazon that are, like, electronics in Sweden are incredible? Because here in the US we have a glut of cheap Chinese electronics that we can order at any time. I mean, you can get like power chargers for $1.50 sometimes if you time it right.
Yeah, we can get pretty cheap stuff here as well.
We just don't do it.
Yeah, but the thing is that when you buy electronics and stuff in Sweden, there's actually an extra tax for it.
That's
for the plastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah,
it's an environmental tax. So if something has some sort of flammable component or a certain type of plastic, you actually get an extra tax on it because of environmental reasons.
And what does the tax do? Is it just supposed to
it adds
from buying
a couple of percent on the cost?
No, I mean, like, what's the purpose for it? Is it to discourage people from buying these items, or does it do something?
Or climate compensation, they say.
How do what you're paying off Mother Nature, like giving her, like, okay, we're sorry for the plastic, here's some more money.
Well, at first it goes through the government, so we just hope they distribute the money to Mother Earth after that. So
of course they do.
Well,
okay, they would never lie to you.
Okay, got it.
The last 4 years, we've had a really miserable government that's been comparted of red and green, and the green part, the environmental party, they have their heads so far up their asses and they have no connection at all to reality. They have an imagined picture or image of what the world is, how environment works. So in their mind, they want to add on taxes to discourage people from destroying the environment because, well, fuck driving cars, because you could always take the subway.
Somebody hasn't broken the news for these folks, have they? Somebody hasn't broken the news for these folks, right?
Nope, they live in Stockholm. They don't really care.
It's like 99.9999999% of the natural world wants you dead.
Yeah, and here's also a fun thing. They added a extra tax on flight because in their mind, flying is one of the worst things you can do when it comes to carbon dioxide.
That's not true.
So to decrease the number of flights in Sweden to save the environment, they added this tax. But if you look at a map of flights going, there is almost nothing in Sweden, but we still have to be in the forefront of saving the environment.
And yet these ministers were the one who was flying the shortest distance.
Yeah, they actually took direct flights within Stockholm.
It sounds like the people of Stockholm have Stockholm Syndrome, actually, with a really bad... I know.
Yeah.
I spent 3 years waiting to say that one.
He's waited his entire life, guys.
I literally...
Thank you for making his dream come true.
Now that I have completed my life's work, I die.
Yeah. What else do you have in life now that you made the ultimate joke?
It's kind of like, it's kind of like the Japanese blacksmith, that spends his entire life learning to forge one sword. When it's done, it's so perfect that he never touches the anvil again. It's like that.
Or worse yet, like if you want to go super Japanese, like he spends his whole life making the sword, and then after he's completed it, he kills himself with the sword. So they can never be made again.
It's actually part of the hardening process to get the right
and then
hardness on the steel. He actually uses his own body for the hardening.
And after the sword has been soaked with his blood, which carries with it all the accumulated passion and energy, the sword actually takes on a life of its own, sprouting grotesque demon tentacles and then consumes the neighboring villages until the small children of Tokyo must take their force of giant robots and strike them down.
Now, see,
Hey,
if
you
that
got
were
an
the
anime there.
case, if that were the case, I mean, my sword, after, me stabbing it into myself and it taking on all my passions and ambitions and all that stuff, who the fuck has a use for a sword that sits on its ass and plays Xbox?
I don't know. I could see a really hardcore weeb somewhere paying to have like the super samurai otaku blade that gives them like
the otaku blade. I swear it's like a +5 or something.
Welcome, Otaku Force 7. We shall attack anime gun. We will protect all hot women from other players who do not see passion purity perfectly.
And of course, the sword would speak back with, "Okay."
but here's the thing. If I actually were Japanese and I made the perfect sword, I would still kill myself with it because the quality would be sub to that of
the kitchen knife.
Yeah, of European steel.
No.
There is no way in hell that the Japanese iron or steel has any quality above European or, for that matter, Indian steel.
Oh God! There's 100 million Asian people that all of a sudden got the collective urge to come to Sweden and stomp.
And they all live within I think they all live in the same city.
I actually don't think it's Japanese. I think it's the weeps and otakus that's gonna be. It's like that kid. I got the power of God and anime on my side. That's gonna be angry.
I mean, this brings me to thinking about I don't know much about what Swedish manufactured goods are like, but if the sword was made by, say, Volvo, I would imagine the sword, or no, it wasn't Volvo, it was Saab. That was the...
I was going to say, it wouldn't be made in Sweden, man.
Yeah, no, Saab. So I can imagine the Saab blade. It would be incredibly heavy, like so heavy that no one would ever be able to pick it up because it had a very complicated sheath on it that prevented anyone from hurting themselves on the blade. It would probably require a special key to unlock the sword so you could get it out of the sheath, and then once you did, it would have warning lights going around to make sure that no one knew that it was coming, and then it would break.
Actually, I think it would be sort of like this. Someone comes up with the plan of, hey, we're going to make a sword. It's going to take about 2 or 3 years for this to go through the right bureaucratic channels to get an approval from the government so that they might make a plan of making the sword. And when they get an approval for making the sword, it might take 1 or 2 years for them to make the plan of actually creating it. When that's done, the processing of getting the materials and actually creating the sword will take about half to 1 year to do, just because there's going to be a lot of issues and management's going to have some say about it. But when you actually get the sword, there you're going to have to send in papers to get approval to actually carry it. And you're just going to get a blank no, because they're going to say, no, you can actually hurt yourself or others with this, so we have to destroy it.
But it's educational.
But in the meanwhile,
that'd be a good lesson.
In the meanwhile, while all of this was happening, IKEA started mass producing a series of disposable katanas that you had to assemble yourself.
It's like I actually have. I'm a weapons owner. I'm a hunter. Yeah, and the process of getting license in Sweden it's hard. Because first of all, you need to have a reason to have guns. So in my case, because I actually went to get I actually took a hunter's course, which you actually have to do, and you have to have tests to actually get the right approval when it comes to shooting, and then you can actually send a paper to the police asking, pretty please, can I get to have guns? And you have to pay the first time fee is 700 kroners. That's like $70, sort of like that.
Can you feel the intense radiation that's coming from Farrell right now?
And if you actually get that approved, you have a right to have 4 guns. But you have to make a new.
But that's like kids here.
Yeah, it's you actually have to make another ansökan. What the fuck is that in English?
Application.
Well, you have to send in another request per license for each weapon. So it's like you need to have 1 license per weapon you actually own. You can have as many as 6 weapons, but apart from these 4 basic weapons or for the license, you have to have special reasons to have the 2 extra.
So I can only imagine what Farrell is doing right now, but I imagine you, or at least I know what Farrell is doing right now. Do you think you know what Farrell is doing right now?
I am so fucking jealous.
But yeah, America has a very different relationship with firearms. Even in places, even like in California where I live, which is trying desperately to be Sweden in the terms of excessive bureaucracy and just nanny stating everything. It's still not that difficult. But Farrell lives in, if it were a Swedish town, we'd probably call it Gunholm.
No, what are you talking about?
The South. If it were to have a Swedish name, it would probably be Gunholm. I thought for sure you were going to get like a shotgun or a bazooka or something.
No, I'm just saying, I mean, if I can't have guns over there, I mean, I've always got these, so.
Woo!
Actually, we can have those.
We can make those.
Yeah.
Like, are you allowed to have?
I compete throwing these.
Really?
Well, actually, we can have them. We just can't have them in public.
Are you now?
But this has a belt loop.
Does it have a carpenter on it?
Well, let me tell you this. When it comes to the guns you're actually allowed to have, you are allowed to have repeater rifles, semi-automatics, but you can only load if it's a hunting rifle. You can only have either single shot with a what's it called, breech block. Sorry, my bad. Or a repeater rifle with 5 shots maximum. If you have a shotgun, semi-automatic, you can only have 2 shots loaded.
Is there anything in Sweden that doesn't have a lot of regulation?
No.
I was going to say alcohol, but nah.
No.
No, wait.
And here I am over here from the South, we have rhetoric like the only thing that can stop a bad guy with a bazooka is a good guy with a bazooka. I mean, that's our line of thinking.
It's very much kind of equilibrium. Just like you have to equalize the pressure on the inside of a house to prevent a vacuum decompression. You have to create an armed equilibrium where a certain an equal concentration of weapons to prevent other weapons from forming.
Oh God, y'all would shit if y'all saw my brother's houses.
Yeah, that is very much a culture clash from the West Coast to the deeper, more southern regions of the United States.
I actually wish we had the same gun rules here as in the US.
Switzerland has pretty liberal gun rules, from what I understand, doesn't it?
Well, sort of, but the thing is that they have a lot of guns because it's because of their military.
Which seems like an oxymoron when Americans think about Switzerland, because literally all we ever think about with Switzerland is fondue, chocolate, banks, and clocks.
Cigarettes.
Yeah.
The thing is that if I remember correctly, they have a sort of conscription military in Switzerland. And they actually, if you are part of the military, you have a right to have your arm at home. Service rifle at home. So that's the reason they have a lot of guns.
So basically, everyone is required to serve in the military at some point.
No, they're required, but it's voluntary, sort of.
Yeah, if I want Switzerland finally goes to war.
Yes, we find out that the reason Switzerland has never been involved in a war is actually because the giant robots that Japan has been animating of them, they're actually inspired by Switzerland's giant clock robots.
Do y'all keep up with Elon Musk?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking the other day about, maybe it's finally time to build a Mac.
Oh, Elon, please do it.
Wait, to build a what?
I volunteer as tribute, a Mac.
I can test it. No problem.
I don't know what that means.
I will do this, for science.
I feel like I'm...
Think very large robotic exoskeleton, that's heavily armed. If you've ever played Metal Gear, that.
Oh, is that what it's called in Metal Gear? Is a Mac?
It's a Mech. M-E-C-H.
Mac. I thought you were saying Mac. I'm like, I don't understand. What?
Apple Mac.
Oh God.
No, we don't want Apple. We don't want Apple building the giant robot to defend humanity.
Yes, it'll be a giant, really smooth, incredibly overpriced robot that nobody can work on.
Yeah, but it's so slick.
But it will be protected by an impenetrable turret.
I mean, you activate the weapon system and it has that little, spinning thing,
I could just see a giant robot built by Apple. As you said, it would be smooth. It would have.
No, if you've ever played the Secret World, the mechs on it, that is basically what if they were designed by Apple would look like. There's one of them that's read about a story and a half tall, heavily armed, and has the personality of a 12-year-old girl.
Okay. Oh God, can you imagine trying to tell Siri to defend the country? You want me to blow up that hospital over there? Is that right? No, destroy the enemy forces. All right, I'm going.
You've evidently heard me arguing with Alexa on here about what to do in the house. She'll be like, "I can't do that." I'm like, "You did it 5 seconds ago. Do this."
Don't judge.
It's not responding. I'm like, "Do it, you insolent tart!"
Reporting you to Amazon.
Level AIs are female.
You know why we call it the Fire Stick, don't you? All of a sudden, like a laser beam shoots out from Alexa and like burns off your finger. Now talk to me again like that, you saucy cunt.
Actually, I would like if I could get her to use profanity.
I'm sorry I had to talk to you that way. But our service plan has been upgraded. Would you like me to switch out of sassy mode now? I think
of course you'd like that.
This is I don't know. It's a fun game. Just picturing like different companies building things that are just completely contrary to what their actual company philosophy is. But like, I think if we actually wanted like a giant robot, I'd probably want Tesla to build it. It would be very expensive, very pretty, but it would be very fast, and at least it would more or less do what it was supposed to do. I wouldn't want
more or less.
And it has flamethrowers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well that wouldn't
work.
Well, that wouldn't be a flamethrower. That would probably just be the battery pack catching on fire.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Well, it's okay as long as it launches the battery pack at the enemy when it finally does. We call it kamikaze mode. We would not want any German company, or at least any German car company, to build a giant robot because I don't know if it's different in Europe, but my experience with German cars has been fairly consistent. They look nice, they're fun to drive, they're supposed to be very well made, and they are, but all the little things have a tendency to break at very inopportune times. So you have...
Well, have you ever had a car that broke down at an inopportune time? You try to start it. Oh, thank like God it was now.
Of a car.
I know. It just seems like those inopportune malfunctions are way more common anytime I've ever had a German car. When I have a Japanese or a Korean car,
it's not just German or Japanese, dude. If it's got tits, tires, or tentacles, it's going to give you fucking problems.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying that it seems like German cars have a lot more of those problems more often than Japanese or Korean cars, or at least
I think it's like this, actually.
What?
I think it's like this, Cats. I think the reason the German cars you guys have break down and all, It's just Germany's way of saying thank you for a certain
for
part
feeding
of
us.
the last century.
Thank you for your services.
Well, I guess I never told you what my grandfather used to call Volkswagen Beetles. He used to call them Hitler's revenge.
Well, sort of true, yeah.
I don't know. At this point, I'm kind of afraid to talk about what I drive.
Really?
Go on.
You can't bring something up like that and not say it.
Is it a Volvo
It's
with a gun?
Yeah, actually, how'd you know? No. It's a Volkswagen Golf GTI.
Oh, that will be fun.
Modified the
I
shit
actually
out
had
of
one
it.
of those at one point.
I used to have one of the newer Volkswagen.
It's a fun little car. I mean, if you pull it back on the carpet, it'll go.
Yeah.
No, like I said, Germans make cars that are fun to drive. They're well built. They just, they're a mechanic's dream. That's all I'll say about it.
Having to do all my own mechanical work after the modifications.
If
Last time, 0 to 100 kilometers per second in 4.2 seconds.
Nice.
I drive a fairly soulless Corolla hatchback. But you know what? That's okay. I like it. I used to have a Scion IQ. I think everywhere else they just called them the Toyota IQ. It was that little tiny city car that Toyota made, and then I crashed it. That was not my prouder moment, and they don't make it anymore in America, so I couldn't buy a new one.
Yeah, I remember when you showed me that. Have you thought about getting like a smart car or something like that?
Well, God, no. That company has the most consumer complaints lodged against it. Only company that comes even close is Mini Cooper. Like, those cars are supposed to be some of the most unreliable, just impractical vehicle you could ever possibly own.
Yeah, but looking at those, when it breaks down, you can just put it in your pocket and carry it with you to the dealership. I mean,
that's true, but with it, when I'm happy that I don't have my old car is when I go to Costco and I don't have to decide between, like, okay, can I buy toilet paper or food today?
You get toilet paper at Costco, dude. Cut back on the fiber.
Actually,
isn't the slogan for Costco and Sam's Club like, if you can get your arms around it, you didn't buy it here?
Pretty much. No, it's funny actually that you say that, because that they've done some market research, and for Costco, the number one reason that people maintain their memberships is the toilet paper. It's the one they make it themselves, and it is won basically every consumer award ever.
Artisanal handcrafted toilet paper.
It's not that it's not that it's like, it really isn't that
available in birch and rustic oak.
It's actually made out of like hand
batch.
It's made out of hand milled linen.
They got this one old guy whose job is just to sit there with with an Allen hammer, just painstakingly making the perforations.
But in all seriousness, like I was very surprised. I saw a news story about it, and it it really is the best toilet paper you can buy in terms of value and quality. Like, no one else comes even close. Like, I can tell you, like, my butt is addicted to it. And my wallet likes it too, because it is the best price ever. Have you guys ever heard of Costco?
I've heard the name.
Yeah.
I'm actually just sitting here thinking about the real weird difference when it comes to American stores and Swedish stores, because everything here is kind of in moderation.
Lagom.
Lagom. So it's just the right size, not too much, not too small, usually.
Everything.
And then you hear about the American version. It's like everything is extra large,
super size.
Yeah,
and Costco is actually.
I can feed an African country with this. What the fuck?
Yeah, Costco is kind of. It was really the vanguard of the super box stores, you might say, the original warehouse store that would sell to the suburbs, because we always had warehouse stores, but. Mm-hmm. They were places that contractors and tradesmen would go to. They weren't places. Oh, you're showing my car? Oh, no, it's your car.
Okay, why is it doing all these?
I really don't know what you're doing. But anyway,
I was going to bring up our corporate sponsor while I was at it. Yeah, our corporate sponsor is it's an American brand, y'all. It's Shit Be Gone toilet paper.
You have it backwards.
Why is it showing up backward?
I have no idea. I was like, okay.
How's that?
Wait, pillow soft. What?
Soft. Yeah, you do actually see that a lot. So, what is the preferred brand of toilet paper in Sweden?
Lambi.
Lambi.
Yeah.
Soft like a lamb.
Yeah, I hate that paper. Actually, it's too soft.
Soft like a lamb.
Is that really why they call
Who
it?
wipes their ass with a lamb?
Yeah, it's called that.
I mean, an elephant.
And their logo is a little tiny white lamb.
Oh god! Now I'm just picturing a whole bunch of commercials.
A
whole bunch of
this
sheep
lamb just
wandering.
running along, and you see the toilet paper stacked, and it's so soft and nice, and then you get the images of wiping yourself with this little lamb. It's like,
I was gonna say, now I'm picturing like a whole bunch of shit-stained lambs running through.
And then you try to flush it, and it's stuck, and it's like it's a mess.
That reminds me of a story that my grandfather used to tell me as a kid. You know, the bear and the rabbit were out in the woods, and the bear said to the rabbit, "Do you have a problem with shit sticking to your fur?" The rabbit said, "No, I never have that problem." The bear said, "Good," picks him up and wipes his ass with him.
I know that one. It's awesome.
I never heard that, but that is funny. Oh my god. Oh, but I think we're even more freeform than normal. We're talking about toilet paper and different kinds of animals and how good they are for.
We're four guys in a virtual room. I mean, let's face it. Sooner or later, it's going to degenerate into shit jokes. I mean, just go with the process.
It is perhaps the greatest divide between the sexes. Men, because women, the only women I've ever met who can, understand the finer points of poop are nurses like myself. But even then, it's in a work sense. Otherwise, outside of nursing, I don't think I've ever met a woman who can talk about poop in the philosophical sense.
Philosophical sense.
Missing the finer points of fecal.
The circle of poo.
The circle of poo.
Oh, I thought I heard my phone go off.
Reality's God's bowel movement. The cold creation.
Summarizing philosophy of life.
But why is poop?
we are all shit in the sight of God. Repent, sinners. Yes, ye be flushed.
That's awkwardly homoerotic.
But if ye of good standing and of good moral fiber, ye may cling as a dingleberry in the eternity. Now, do they have dingleberries in Sweden?
Actually, the first time I heard the expression dingleberries, it was through George Carlin.
Oh, well, that is.
Oh, yeah?
That is the
that man was so far ahead of his time.
I miss George Carlin. He was, as they said in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, he's one of God's original prototypes. Too bizarre for mass production, too precious to destroy. I believe that's what
is it he says? It would be gratefully wished if she would kiss him under the dingleberries. But for me, the concept of dingleberries is quite clear. So it's that kind of universal concept that once you understand the language, you don't need to exactly know what it means to know what it means.
Yeah, I think any culture that has men or women that are sufficiently hirsute, like that kind of concept is bound. So unless you have a completely hairless people, there's probably always going to be some sort of concept like that. What do they call them in Sweden?
Dingleberries.
Yeah.
Oh, you also but no, you
It's the universal language.
Okay, well, I can just imagine it though. Again in Swedish, Dingleberry.
I'm not sure if there's a
quick to the Google machine.
Let's see what the internet says about it.
Oh my god.
I'm just gonna totally fuck up my internet history or my search history tonight. I don't want to know what Pornhub is going to end up suggesting now. Thank you.
Maybe some sort of furry content, perhaps.
Yeah.
Or what?
Konkelberg.
Konkelberg?
Yeah.
It's interesting how it's always a fruit. It's never like it's never anything like an insect or anything. It's always a fruit of some kind. There's a meaning there, or maybe not. And considering we only have 3 viewers, I think most people probably agree that this stream really has just gone to shit.
Well, let me take it a step further then.
Yes.
We have the concept of flänsost.
I'm really afraid that...
Enlighten me.
I don't know if enlightenment's the right word for whatever it's going to be.
Flänsost. Dick cheese.
Oh, yes.
This is what happens when 4 guys get in a room and just talk shit.
Probably comes back to poop and penises.
Yeah, here we call that Fromunda.
Fromunda cheese.
From under my foreskin.
Mm-hmm. Right there, the most effective argument for circumcision. Yuck.
No.
And then I just lost.
Okay.
I just lost.
Here's a fun thing about when it comes to the expression flänsost and Swedish, because we actually have a town called Flen, which is not really Flens. But usually we can make the joke about cheese from Flen, and everybody knows what it means. And then with the fact that Flen is a fucking shithole, well, it doesn't make it better. So now people from Flen are gonna hate us.
So basically, that's your bald knob.
Yeah.
So after you have sullied the reputation of the good and wholesome folks of Flen, are you going to have like a very polite mob with pitchforks in front of your house now?
No, it's going to be the.
They'll have little
Swedish,
signs that say, "We're a little displeased."
What?
They'll have polite little signs out that say, "We're somewhat displeased."
No. The Swedish way is being angry, but like making a fist in your pocket and smiling. That's the Swedish way. No confrontation. We don't want to have anger here.
Well, the height of confrontation is an angry note.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, angry notes.
And if they're really angry, will they sign it?
Well, sort of, but anonymously. Like if it's an apartment complex and you have a shared room for your laundry room, and someone's like, "You bastard that don't clean out the machine when you're done. I hope you choke on it," or something like that. Signed, angry neighbor.
And this would be the culmination of just like a seriously disturbed individual. Like, oh my god, the anger.
I'm scared to ask what they'll think when I visit Sweden.
You might disprove the reputation that I heard from one of, I think it was Red Ice TV. They said they don't deport anyone in Sweden, apparently, except for this.
They would make an exception.
Apparently they don't have a problem deporting.
Well, they did retract that. So.
Yeah.
Like I don't pretend to understand the complexities of the story because I only heard about it from Red Ice TV, which I like him, but I understand he's everyone's got their bias. But I guess they're deporting a Ukrainian, like a 2 or 3 year old Ukrainian.
He's a 6-year-old boy that lost his mother, but they actually made a retraction of the decision, so they're gonna make a new case about it. But I think he's actually gonna be staying.
I don't understand why they were motivated to deport him in the first place. It's like if he already has his grandparents in the country, why would they bother?
It's when it comes to Sweden and immigration, it's
imagine a Chinese fire drill, so to speak.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
It's very really interesting. I've looked into it.
It's really fucked up because you can have people they're working, they're paying taxes, they're good citizens, but they get deported because someone many years ago missed one detail when it comes to bureaucratic papers, like insurances and stuff. So these people there was actually a guy, he runs a company. At one point, he actually cut his own salary so that the company would survive because it was having a difficult time with the economy. And Later on, he got the decision that he was not allowed to stay because he did this. It was his own salary. It's not like he went on social security or something like that. It's just that he cut his own salary. He had money put away, but because of this, he did not have a high enough yearly income. And because of that, they decided, no, you can't stay.
Wait, so he wasn't actually costing the
No,
country.
he was providing. He was doing his part for society, but no, he couldn't stay.
And the same about
It
a
seems
guy
like what he
who-
did was admirable.
Yeah. I'm
Same
very...
about a guy who he worked and he didn't take out vacation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he got deported because of that.
Yeah.
Or, well, he got the decision that he couldn't stay because of that.
I'm very confused.
So are
you're confused.
so are a lot of Swedish people as well. But then, if we're gonna go the whole 9 yards here, then you have people, the assholes that commits crimes, rapes, and everything, and they get like a slap on the fist, like no, you can't do that, and they get to stay.
Yeah, the beer children.
Yeah. So I mean, this actually makes us racist in the Swedish manner because we're actually critical of this. But I guess we just have to be racist.
I don't know. I just think if, I mean, regardless of however many types of people you have in a society, for it to be an actual functioning one, you'd basically have to have the same rules for everyone.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah.
How do you say
But
Yeah,
then we
keep
have
them basic.
our fine political establishment making difference between people and people. So
how do you say problematic in Swedish? Because that's what it is.
Yeah. Totalt problematiskt.
problematic in Swedish, byråkrati.
Yeah.
So would it surprise you if the International Language Congress Federation Authority thing that's totally real got together and said that the meaning of Swedish was no longer referred to people who lived in Sweden, but people who were of an excessively bureaucratic nature?
Well, it's not far from the truth, actually.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to hear more on this one.
Was it my incredibly convincing real life organization?
Yeah, that's totally legit. Saw it on Oprah.
Yeah.
Actually, you can make reality TV of Sweden. Just follow the country in the news. It's the big soap of the.
Yeah.
Arkansas or Florida would be the Mexican soap opera.
Telenovela.
Yes.
Maria.
I wrote a skit for a telenovela when I was in high school. It was just called Mexican Soap Opera, and there was actually no real dialogue. The only dialogue that consisted is people saying each other's names with various emotional inflections.
Well, isn't that what it's all about?
Basically, I mean, it's just like a man comes in, he sees the woman, Maria, she, Jose, and then another man comes in, Don Juan, Maria, Don Juan. Just it lasted about 5 minutes of people just like, screaming names at each other. I wish I still had it. I think it's lost to history. Although my father claims that he came across a cache of my old pre-cloud printouts of things. So if that's the case, the internet might be flooded with some of my older, more bizarre content.
Awesome.
I was such a weirdo when I was younger.
Well, the thing is, you talk like that about telenovelas,
Mm-hmm.
but we used to watch those during my Spanish 3 class back when I was in high school, and that's not far from the truth.
No, it really is. Where do you think I got the idea from? Was
Telemundo?
Yeah, Telemundo and some of my Spanish language classes.
I mean, I may not be able to have a basic conversation in Spanish anymore, but by damn, I can remember exactly how to tell you it's a brain tumor in a very dramatic voice. Fucking useful.
Es coma. Yeah, like the most useful language for surviving any soap opera is he's in a coma.
Yeah. I'm actually going to make a confession here. Speaking about Netflix and everything, I am actually watching Jane the Virgin with my girlfriend. If you know about the series.
Know very little about it.
Yeah, It's actually a really fun sitcom, or it's not a sitcom, a series. It's actually really entertaining to watch because they actually take all the tropes of the telenovela and make a thing of it.
Maybe I don't know. Oh, but anyway,
anything could be a sitcom if your brain is twisted enough. That's something to aspire to.
Here is the only thing that you need to know in Spanish.
Él está en coma.
You know what? This actually gives me another impromptu game. I want you to rate how accurate Google Translate is, my friends.
Okay, that could be fun.
So, for instance,
Han är i koma.
Oh,
Yep.
So for the viewers, what did I just say?
What it said?
Yeah,
He's in a coma.
Yeah, I want you to tell me anytime it gets it slightly wrong or what's wrong. I'm gonna make this a little harder now. You can hear my incredibly loud keyboard.
The anticipation.
Every keystroke comes with extra drama.
Ooh, the anticipation.
Oh, key.
Yeah, this would be Sigil.
Okay,
One of my 4.
Here we go.
Kom och kom med oss på podcast Dead Red Herring, där vi diskuterar poop och penises och hur man kombinerar dem.
What the fuck was that?
So what did it literally say?
Well, it was a weird mishmash of Swedish and English.
I suppose you typed "come and join us," but the Swedish translate "kom och kom med oss," so it was like a double "come here."
So it was very awkward and
yeah.
All right, let's ready.
I didn't even translate poop.
No.
Hold on, here we go.
Hold on. Yeah. My first reaction was like, what the fuck is that Russian?
Okay, Cats, I'm going to send you something real quick in Twitter. I want you to run this one through.
Okay, I'm going to do this one first, and I'll do that one, okay?
Magnus, ditt skägg är mest stiligt, kanske för snyggt.
No. I'll stop at you.
Magnus, your beard is mostly.
So for the viewers, Magnus, your beard is most handsome, perhaps.
Yeah. But it came out in the context. It could be it's mostly handsome. It's kind of degrading way. It's actually a degrading way of saying something in Swedish. It's like, yeah, it's mostly.
Det är för det mesta.
Interesting how
it's like telling your daughter, well, you're mostly pretty.
Context, how things in English don't.
Or, you're not a fuck up all the time.
All right, here we go. So, all right, so I'm formalizing the rules a bit more. So I'm going to say it in Swedish, and I want
rules.
Yeah, now I'm making rules now. This is not the libertarian edition. No, so I'm going to say it in Swedish. And then you're going to tell me what it says, and then I'm going to say what it says in English. Because I can.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Min svävare är full av ålar.
Now, what? That is from Feral. So what did it literally say? I'll say it one more time.
Min svävare är full av ålar.
Oh God, I feel bad for you. Oh no. Helt annan grej med ålafest nu.
So what did it say, my Swedish friends?
You want to do it?
Yeah.
Yes.
My hovercraft is full of eels.
Ding, ding, ding.
That is perfect. Okay.
It was actually one of the phrases I was practicing with for my pronunciation.
Okay. Now
I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it my way.
Here's a new one for you.
Frostjätten kommer att våldta mina ögonkontakter.
What?
So let's say that one more time, slower.
Frostjätten kommer att våldta mina ögonkontakter.
She sounds so happy when she says that.
Yeah, it's
So what do you think it says?
Well, the frost giant is trying to rape my eye socket.
but the thing is that the literal what's
Translation.
Phrasing.
would be my eye contacts. But not contact, it's connection, eye connections.
A socket is like, yeah, the wall.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the actual English that I put in was the frost giant is going to rape my eye sockets.
Yeah.
It's really interesting how it gets so close.
That almost sounds like the first half of a clickbait article title or something. The frost giant is about to rape my eye sockets. Click to see what happens.
you would never guess what happened.
You can never guess what happens next.
You rape my eye socket.
Okay, we'll do I'll do a couple more before the 3 viewers we have leave screaming, wondering who the hell are these people.
I think we are the 3 viewers.
I know we might be.
Then we can just follow the nice men in the white coats.
Yeah.
They're nice people. They give me the good feel-good candy.
They put me in the hug jacket.
I feel so safe. I need to see it, Taylor, though. The sleeves are a bit long.
It's a bit tight. It's a snug fit.
One size fits all.
It's the original Snuggie.
All right, here we go.
Feral Cat är en farligt sexig. Jag kan inte motstå honom längre. Hjälp mig.
One more time.
What did you say about my mother?
Feral Cat är en farligt sexig. Jag kan inte motstå honom längre. Hjälp mig.
Someone is sexy and I can't resist.
Like Swedish.
It's funny that it says feral cat is dangerously sexy. I cannot resist him anymore. Help me. But it did translate feral cat into the actual Swedish, I thought. Yeah.
Vildkatt.
But for some reason, when I actually typed it, it changed it to just feral cat.
Yeah, hold on. I gotta look up a little translation of my own.
Oh no.
Hey, you say me too when...
We actually just use the Me Too. We don't have any other.
You don't have a word for hashtag.
So there's not... You mean there's not a Swedish word for attention whore?
No.
It's universal. Otherwise known as female.
Oh.
I already classify myself as a shitlord, so I'm just gonna say these stuff like
Me
I have
too.
Tourette's
I
or
always
something.
wanted to be a lord. So, you know.
Grand shitlord.
Yeah.
No, we're watching television at my
Lord of the
mother's
North.
house earlier today. And there was some lady on TV on the show they were watching. She had 2 black eyes, and my mom's just, we were cooking, so she wasn't really paying attention. She takes one look at the television. She's like, God, what did she do? I just look at her and I'm like, the dishes if she knows what's good for her.
And I'm guessing that the mother of barbarians took that in fine stride and did not throw something heavy at you or...
Oh, she thought it was funny as shit. Where do you think I got it?
Oh my god.
Okay, I have to tell you a story now. No.
Please do.
Story time, kids. Gather around. When I actually... how do I say this? I went to school for slöjd.
Handcrafting.
Handcrafting wood. And at one point we were
Woodworking.
using the... We were turning. So...
Okay, just
my teacher said you don't have to do or make anything special, just to get a feel of the material and the tools and all. But I actually made a baton that it's made out of oak. I'm gonna use it for fishing. And when I was done with it, I went from the turning room into the the workshop main room, where I had a working bench and all. And I had two classmates, annoying people. Not to be judging, but one of them was a dyke, the other one was confused.
Such a problem.
And these people, they're hardcore feminists. And
they were unhappy and alone?
Yeah, that too. But I come into the workshop and they stop me and like, oh, what do you do? Let's see. And I show them my oak baton. And they say, oh, we can actually use this to hit the... there was a rapist going around in Umeå at the time. And so they said, oh, we can actually use this against this dude. And I'm like, nope, you can't. It's made for women.
Oh,
my little words were, den är gjord för att aga kvinnor. And aga, it's an old term for
disciplinary beatings.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that went over really, really well.
Everybody knows that hardcore feminists are the best at taking jokes.
They went completely silent. They gave me this look of disgust, just handed me back my baton and let me go back to my bench. I was really happy for the rest of the day.
That's really interesting. I can just imagine what that happened if in a American or even a British setting. It would have involved a lot more profanity and probably calls to have you lynched and or removed from the class.
Yeah, as far as the comment about mother of all barbarians, that's the name that Katz ended up giving my mom after several hilarious stories of her and a chainsaw. He ended up creating this avatar for her. Which, by the way, she loves it. I've got a print ordered to put in her house.
You know what you should do is, that service Fracture that prints their things onto glass. You should totally make one of that.
I'll make her a beer stein out of it.
Let's see. Here we go. Coming back to Sweden.
Barbarians mor driver en fruktansvärd rosa motorsåg. Barbarians mor driver en fruktansvärd rosa motorsåg.
A pink barbarian mother with a pink chainsaw.
Well, yeah, it literally says the mother of barbarians wields a terrible pink chainsaw.
No, she doesn't. She says pink's for pussies.
Oh wait. Wait, hold on. Let me update this then to be more true to life. Let's see. Okay, here we go.
Barbarians mor driver en hemsk motorsåg som blötläggs i olydiga barns blod.
What did it say?
Blötläggs. That's a new one.
I'm just gonna wet this.
Yeah.
What do you guys think it says?
Well, the mother of barbarians that wets the chainsaw in the blood of children. Yeah.
That's very close. Yeah. The mother of barbarians wields a terrible chainsaw soaked in the blood of disobedient children.
No, it's the innocent ones.
Ah.
Innocence proves nothing.
I'm having too much fun with Google Translate.
Oh God.
Does her chainsaw have a name?
Wait,
she goes through them too quickly.
Okay.
Borde ha en huskvarna.
Oh my God. Oh, well, it would have been funny if it had a name, but now I hit something. It's inspecting HTML, and I've officially overused the Google Translate game.
Oh
well.
Aww.
Oh, all right. I'll open it up again.
I didn't know the API had limitations on it.
No, I know it does. I hit some button that caused the HTML inspector to open up, and then the page refreshed.
Okay, I got you.
No, it was my fault. Not Google was blameless in all of this.
For once.
Technical difficulties.
I know. User error. Yeah, Victor was trying to teach me how to use an actual Swedish accent today, and it seems like the rule is basically just to make everything very sing-songy, and then just certain sounds that I have to get. But basically, it's like, "Hello, how are you doing?" Just very, as opposed to my sort of Swedish Muppet chef.
You know who's fucking with you, right?
But is he really?
He would never do such a thing.
Never.
No.
Never.
Skulle aldrig hända.
Aldrig. Nej då.
Okay, last one.
Farfarens mor kommer att äta dina fötter och steka dem i svamp.
Mums. The barbarian mother is gonna eat my feet and fry them in mushrooms.
Oh, I said lard, but yes.
Lard.
What's your favorite recipe?
Mhm.
The
I'm
mother
touched.
barbarian will eat your feet and fry them in lard.
Everything sounds better.
Marmalade.
Marmalade. Oh, Lord.
Welcome to our podcast. Now fuck off.
What, is it from New York?
What is this? Welcome
How
to
do
a
we
pod-
fuck off, my lord? Wait, you've seen The Life of Brian, right, Cats?
Yeah.
Oh my god, several times.
Oh, yes. How shall we fuck off, oh lord?
Oh. Hey, professor.
Jag älskar
What fucking eyes are we talking about?
Hey, moron.
I lied. I made another one just because I
Oh,
can't.
no.
I'm addicted.
Jag älskade aldrig dig och din mamma är en stinkig livmoder.
Stinking livmor.
Stinking liv.
That actually sounds like someone from Stockholm.
All right, so
Jag älskar mamma är en stinky livmor. Fucking bratty kid from Stockholm, that.
I never loved you and your mother is a stinky womb.
Bunch of children with toys, and
Yeah.
I love how there's absolutely no structure or anything to it this time. I mean, there was not very much structure before, and now there's literally no structure. We're just making poop jokes and talking about each other's mothers and with foreign languages.
Yeah.
People say you should never revert into chaos, but
Where's the fun in that?
I don't.
Well, the thing is, it's not reverting to chaos if you never left, so...
That is true, actually.
True.
Yeah, it's interesting how we started out trying to talk about anime and ended up
Talk about poop instead.
insulting people.
It's a natural transition.
So what have we've been talking about poop. We've been talking about we're doing dick jokes. We've been insulting women. Is there anything we haven't done? Well, we actually been racist, so I mean, against Japanese people and stuff.
Oh, and Victor isn't here to remind us that the Swedes are actually the Japanese of Europe. He's made an interesting case for that. So, like,
Yeah, well, it's not really untrue. That's the thing.
very
There are
clean.
quite a lot of similarities.
Mhm. Except there were no Swedish kamikazes. Like, that sounds like it would be a bit too confrontational. Would that be where they would land the plane on the American aircraft carrier and then just say, like, we disagree with you?
Sluta! Ja men skyrra då!
Then they spend the next several hours scrubbing the rubber the tire marks off of the enemy aircraft before flying away themselves.
I actually have another story here. It's a bit grim, but a friend of mine, Niklas,
Yeah.
friend of ours actually, his father, he was part of the he was in the military when he was younger. He was actually stationed at a local flight strip, you could say, in Skåne. And in their training, they actually got the conditioning to know that if and or when the Russians attack, because at this point of time, Russia was the big enemy. Their training was to hold this airstrip, even if it meant their life. And it's not like the old military of, well, you actually put your life in danger and everything. No, they actually, in their training, it was that you will die defending this. You will sacrifice yourself to hold this place as long as possible. It was in their training. They know that, yeah, you're gonna die. There is no chance of survival if an attack happens.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty harsh.
That's
also a
hardcore.
part of the Swedish condition. You don't really talk about this, but beneath the surface, there is a lot of anger and resentment and people, well, more or less ready to die. But we don't talk about it.
I guess it would explain the incredible abundance of Swedish heavy metal bands.
Yeah, I would say.
That repressed rage has to go somewhere.
Actually, if you look at it like this, Nordic people have this thing with anger, but to be refined modern citizens, we repress it.
We revert to passive aggressive
behavior, not to release the demon inside.
Yeah, but it's like our warring and weapons export. Like that is also very passive aggressive because we don't go to war, but we make weapons, we sell weapons. So it's like no, we don't want to fight. But if you want to, we will be happy to supply with the weapons and such.
And we're goddamn good at it as well.
You're enablers. You know what the ultimate...
We have something like that here in the South, only instead of going for passive aggressive, we do the aggressive.
I was going to say, the ultimate manifestation of Swedish passive aggressiveness, I think, would have to be the illustrated IKEA instruction manuals for furniture that is always missing a part, no matter how carefully. I mean, it could be two parts and there would still be just one thing that doesn't seem to be there, or you find that you've already made it and you did it backwards. I think that those are made on purpose to be.
You just turn it around. What the fuck?
Here's the thing about IKEA. In Sweden, we always get extra parts. So I think the parts you're supposed to get, we get them instead.
That's why we never have enough parts, because you're hoarding all the extra parts for yourself.
Yeah, it's like in the packaging area, they're like, nah, this is going home to the home country. Put an extra part there. Fuck the Americans.
This is our cut.
I actually has an entire department literally devoted just to extra parts.
When I was studying at university in Lund, I was part of a group that takes care of an sort of retreat that students have available for them out in the woods. And at one point, I was out there, and we had these new chairs from IKEA. And we had two of them. So me and another guy, we were assembling. And another guy comes in and say, well, if you can actually put an IKEA piece together in less than 45 minutes, you're not qualified to be an academic. I did it in 15 minutes. The other guy, it took him well over an hour to do it.
IKEA is it is funny how the simplest thing seems to be really counterintuitive.
No, it's really simple. You open the box, you unpack the parts, You take the instruction sheet, you crumple that shit up, throw it away, and you fucking wing it. It goes together quickly.
I, you such a man.
Do what?
I said, I, you such a man.
Instructions, I don't need your goddamn instructions.
Yeah,
Give me my willing mask.
I'm not a
Instructions for bitches.
I'm not a feminine person, not really at all. But there is one core aspect of manhood that or rather the purported manhood that I never ever had, which was I have literally no shame about asking where things are, because in my mind, here's the thing: I know that the man is supposed to be, basically a unanchored ship in the proverbial sea, and he must find the path alone. I personally believe that it is more masculine to admit that you don't know where something is and find it and be done with it, rather than to have your head up your own butt while you spend the next.
That's really not what it's about. I mean, just know that I could, take the effort in 5 minutes to go find it myself, or ask someone and end up getting their life story, how they feel about the product, and all this kind of stuff, and basically everything except where the fuck it is.
I guess we have different.
Yes, for the way. What a bag!
I don't know. I seem to. I think it's all in how you talk to people, the kind of things you get. I seem to be pretty good at avoiding the life stories, but I will admit that is sometimes.
I'm a magnet for them.
Hit your face.
I think it's a curse or something. I don't know. Maybe I pissed one of the gods off or something. Like, here, this'll fuck with you. We're gonna have people really open up to you and tell you all their shit, and you are gonna hate them for it.
It's one of those mildly annoying curses. It's not really harmful or anything. It's just so goddamn annoying.
Yeah, you will always have a paper cut on your finger, and it will never heal.
It's not my finger.
Okay, first off, how the fuck do you get a paper cut there?
I was just
why?
A paper cut on the anus. That would probably that would.
Let's just say you can't make everything with origami.
Now, of course, you would. You'd have to use brown craft paper, otherwise, it would just never look right afterwards.
Oh, here's an annoying curse: you will always get paper cuts off your toilet paper.
Ooh, oh yeah, that would do it.
Now, is this that artisanal, handcrafted toilet paper we were talking about earlier?
These eco-friendly.
Rustic.
If it's friendly paper,
LGBT certified.
It'll be made out of recycled Coke bottles, and it will.
No, it's John Wayne toilet paper. It's rough, tough, and don't take no shit off nobody.
Or better yet, they use those plastic rings that they put on the 6-packs of soda and beer, which they're always, every time you see one, you can't help but think of a bird being trapped in it because you saw the commercial every single time.
And it brings a smile to my face each time.
In years.
So mean.
We don't have them in Sweden anymore.
No. You don't have those?
No, not anymore. We had them when I was young. I'm gonna say, well, earlier we had them, but not today. We only have the paper packages around.
Oh, those are annoying, though. They always get wet and mushy and they fall apart.
But they're eco-friendly.
I suppose.
You can't strangle a turtle with them.
I know, I've tried.
You can smother it.
Strangling the turtle. That just sounds like an obscene act.
Garrot the turtle.
I actually, maybe that should be the name of the game. Is Does It Translate?
I don't know. I'm still. Katz, were you on that one where on that online discussion where we were discussing someone that we know in common, and the word one trick pony came up, and Victor just died laughing.
I don't know if I was there or not, actually.
Oh my god, Bacon ended up calling someone a one-trick pony, and...
Oh yeah, I definitely wasn't there, because I would have remembered being on stream with
it was hilarious. It took him like 10 minutes to stop laughing, and I'm just sitting there thinking, how the fuck did that translate?
Oh, yeah. So here, let's see if this
I think
translates.
it's something for him, actually.
So tell me if this translates, then.
Skrikande sköldpaddan.
One more time. I didn't hear the first part.
Skrikande sköldpaddan.
Screaming turtle.
Screaming turtle. Okay, so strangling the turtle does not translate on Google.
No, it should be strypa.
Skripa. Right. So instead it says screaming turtle.
There you go.
Even better. Well, we have been on for almost 2 hours, and we have gone from anime to poop jokes to toilet paper. Now,
And why audience? Because we're here to entertain and inform.
but the fact that there is an audience lets you know for sure on YouTube, no matter how depraved, no matter how asinine, someone will watch it.
We're not depraved. We're deprived.
I am both.
Is there anything else?
Nobody likes an overachiever.
So is there anything else that anyone would like to talk about, or have we pretty much run this stream dry?
No. I want to talk about murder hobos.
What is murder?
Oh yeah, the new class for
No.
D&D.
Exactly. I actually loved that when you sent that to me.
I think it was about half of my old stuff when I was on 2nd edition.
So, murder hobo class for Dungeons and Dragons.
What are they?
Yeah.
All right, let me go ahead and pull up the article here.
I mean,
So-
I was going to say that. When it comes to role playing, we do a lot of role playing, but we actually haven't really played Dungeons and Dragons because we have other systems that, well, we have our homebrew systems, and we use Swedish games that they don't really have classes like that. It's more of a free forming when it comes to how
Like
to
podcast.
do your character. So you instead of having classes and set skills and feats and all, you actually just choose your skills, level them up, and stuff like that.
I've never really played any tabletop games unless you count.
Oh, dude, we used to do Forgotten Realms all the time.
Awesome.
Well, it's not that I've never wanted to. I just never knew anyone that did. The only time I ever played any kind of board games was when I was very, very little. And I played chess with my grandpa for a long time, but that kind of, the OGest of OG tabletop games.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really quite what you're talking about.
Drakar och demoner.
That's a Swedish game, actually.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
It's funny. So that's just Dungeons and Dragons, literally translated in Swedish, but so that's different than the actual Dungeons and Dragons that you're saying.
Yeah, but here's the thing. There is actually a Swedish game called Dragons and Demons, Drakar och Demoner, and which is nothing at all to do with Dungeons and Dragons. And
The literal translation for Dungeons and Dragons is fängelsehålor och drakar.
yeah,
I'm surprised.
Doesn't really roll in the tongue.
I'm surprised they weren't really sued for having a game that, I guess, in another language you can't really say that it's the same.
If you can't
Well,
pronounce it, you can't sue for it.
That's true.
yeah, and also it's a whole different rule system. They do use the D20, but instead of rolling a 20, you want to roll a 1.
I don't understand.
Sneaky. Usually in D&D terms, Cats, a 1 is basically a natural fail.
Oh, okay.
Critical
20 being the
failure.
opposite. Yep.
Am I the only one here who doesn't play tabletop games?
Oh my
I think
god,
so.
you're such a normie.
I know.
Yo, let's point at the muggle and laugh.
You can't tell, but I'm hanging my head in shame right now.
All right, we need to change this, right?
Yeah.
Make a plan. We're gonna play role-playing games.
Role
What
play.
I'm trying to find is a role-playing game that has elements, where it's set in the modern world, but like, there's one video game that I play, Secret World, that's set in the modern world, and every crazy ass fucking conspiracy theory you can think of is true in it. I would love to have a tabletop version of that.
You should make
That could be fun.
You were saying?
I actually wanted to play Secret Worlds, but I never got
It's
around to
still
it.
out.
So.
Oh, I fucking love it.
Nice.
I think the last X-Pack had me infiltrating a cult, and that's always fun.
Was there something about a big green thing lying, sleeping at the bottom of the ocean?
Let's see, didn't see that one yet. Oh, wait. Yeah, they did make references to Cthulhu in a couple of the dungeons. There's a lot of influence from Lovecraft in it, which I like, but as far as your different factions, definitely go with Illuminati. They have the best storylines.
Yeah.
No, it's funny as shit.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We should all play. Good
Yeah.
fun.
Well, maybe we should. You know what? I think if we do this again anytime soon, maybe we should definitely try having a little bit more structure. So yeah, maybe we should get this. Find some way to do this game, an actual game, next time, and see how it goes. But
Fair. Did you get the Murder Hobo article?
Just now?
The Murder Hobo.
Oh, did I bring it up? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I got it. Hold on.
all right, so share screen for that.
Yeah.
Do you know what's on my screen?
Maybe I don't. Maybe I do.
The article,
Dick
but that's
pics.
beside the point.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on a sec. Just clearing out some bullshit.
Closing all the porn windows.
No, actually, stuff like for Arkansas Code Annotated and stuff like that. That stupid ass article I sent you.
Yeah.
All right, that should be everything. And how the fuck do I do that on here? I'm stalling. All
It's funny
right,
because
it's gonna bring y'all into the abyss, and then I'll switch tabs.
awesome. Whee! I see myself.
You can see into infinity.
The infinite reflective circle.
All right, so here's the article.
So,
You want to read out loud?
yeah, why don't you read it?
I'm illiterate.
Oh, you want me to read it?
Okay. There's now an official Murder Hobo class for Dungeons & Dragons players who just want to wreak havoc on their unofficial fantasy world. If you've ever played Dungeons & Dragons or a similar fantasy game, you've probably experienced a Murder Hobo, a type of player who takes gleeful abandon in stealing, carousing, and killing, regardless of the consequences. Okay, time out. This is totally unwoke. I mean, I find this to be a little bit hobophobic.
To me,
Anyway.
it sounds like
As a
any player ever.
homosexual.
Yeah, this is problematic. While murder hobos aren't necessarily evil, as in they're just as likely to murder an evil dragon as they are the king of a kingdom, they're the personification of chaos, and usually spend their time destroying the fantasy world their DM has created. Rich NPCs will see their valuables vanish, brothels will find their yearly income doubled, and city guards will see their ranks depleted whenever a group of murder hobos wander into their town. That sounds suspiciously like my family. Murder
It's like
hobos.
any player group ever.
Yeah, basically, murder hobos are a particular type of D&D player, so it makes sense that someone decided to make it into an actual D&D class. Sam Sorensen wrote up official rules for the murder hobo class loosely based on a post he saw on Reddit written about a year ago. As is befitting for murder hobos, the new set of irreverent rules gives players a series of ridiculous abilities, all designed to maximize chaos. The new murder hobo class immediately gives players some perks, starting at level 1. Because murder hobos are assumed to start off homeless, they're given homeless resilience that gives them advantages on saving throws related to poison or disease. In addition, they can also eat spoiled food without consequences, so they'll never starve even when they're inevitably kicked out of the local inn. As players advance in the murder hobo class, they quickly gain some impressive abilities. For instance, at level 2, players gain the bullying strike ability, which adds extra damage when attacking anyone smaller, weaker, or less visibly wealthy than the players. At level 9, players pick up the lack of self-preservation trait. God, this is really sounding like us. Which grants them the advantage on saving throws for being frightened and resistance to damage caused by falling. By the time players reach level 15, the murder hobo becomes even more deadly. They gain the ability to toss pocket sand at their enemies, causing them to become blinded. At level 18, a player weaponizes their ignorance with the Just Another Monster trait, which allows the murderer hobo to ignore a monster's resistances and immunities and gain advantage on attack throws as long as they don't understand the language the monster speaks. When they reach level 20, murder hobos master death itself and have a chance of spontaneously regaining hit points whenever their hit points reaches 0. As if these abilities weren't ridiculous enough, players can also give their players an uncouth behavior, the equivalent of a murder hobo subclass. These uncouth behaviors range from kleptomania to pyromania to nymphomania, and give players even more advantages when engaging in certain murder hobo activities.
Is this an actual thing?
It is now.
Okay.
While the murder hobo class isn't exactly D&D sanctioned, yeah, who cares? It was posted to DM's Guild, which serves as the official third-party marketplace for D&D material. Best of all, the rules are pay what you want, so players can decide how valuable these new rules are, or how much they should pay their players to avoid looking at them. You can check out the new rules here, and then pray that your players never discover them.
Oh my god.
I love it.
Love it. And
don't-
how do I get my screen off of here?
I just stopped sharing.
The only,
Okay, there it is.
only thing I actually think about that is that you should get pocket sand really early because that's really a basic skill. Like
Yeah, it
level
really
3 to level
is.
5. And then I wrote it. I don't know if it was a chat or a open post on Twitter that at level 15 they should get some sort of spit instead that sort of perma or makes the target dazed or confused or something like that.
Oh, spit? No, it should give them like dire aids or something. Which is like regular
No,
aids,
he
but
said
more dire.
AIDS.
And I think if you're going to have a homeless character, like then it has to have defensive BO, and or possibly you could have offensive diarrhea, like offensive.
Oh my god.
But here's the thing: a murder hobo doesn't really need to be a homeless person. It's just a batshit crazy, chaotic neutral person.
But I do like the idea of a
hobo is
homeless
sort
person
of
actually. Like the like insane ramblings all the time.
A drunken Swedish man.
Well, we've got sorry, my camera just froze, but we've got this homeless guy
That's
that I've noticed
horrible.
downtown here in Little Rock, and he rather, he's carrying on this conversation with thin air. Just talking to nobody. And then I noticed I was over in West Little Rock and I noticed this lady doing the exact same thing and it hit me. What if they're linked?
Communication beyond borders.
Hobo
Yeah.
Oh, that's an epic class skill. Hobo communication. They don't need to be in the proximity of each other to communicate.
Well, I'm just wondering, is there some kind of funky ass quantum entanglement or something going on here?
Yeah, I think so. They have a shared consciousness
Yeah.
of some sort.
Their collective consciousness is based on a mutual disregard for hygiene, and it's
Communication through the stink.
oh my
They
god.
actually see each other through a cloud of well,
It's kind of like pheromones and insects, close to that.
They're sentiments.
Yes.
Oh my
so
god.
miles apart. They actually see each other
It's like
coming
pheromemes.
fumes, so they can talk.
Well, I would have to cut this short because we are definitely having a deep and worthwhile conversation at this point, but I'm starting to get a bit punchy. Is there anything else anyone wants to say before I plunge us into an eternal night that no sunlight will ever pierce?
Aren't we already there?
I suppose.
My only words are gonna be: this was awesome. I want to do it again, and we should definitely play some tabletop role-playing game.
Oh, okay.
Totally want to.
I can be GM.
Sounds good.
1 second.
All right. Well, I am.
Means I'm gonna have to give me some dice.
All right. Would you guys like to keep talking? I actually have to take care of something, but I can come back, or we
Oh,
can.
good God, you can spank that later. Oh,
I gotta do what a man.
Talk amongst yourselves for a minute. I'll be back.
Yeah.
okay. So what game y'all thinking?
Well, we could always go for either homebrew or I know I actually played a lot of New World of Darkness
Okay.
also. Otherwise, I'm making a steampunk sort of. It's a mix between steampunk and 1920 plus, with my own rule set.
So steampunk meets Art Deco. Nice.
Yeah, exactly, and airships and all.
You gotta have
Magnus
those.
actually has his superhero game.
Yeah, basically modern alternate reality or superheroes and people with powers and
Magic.
magic and demons and all sorts of fun.
Okay, that sounds fun too. All right, y'all pick one. I'm game.
I was
Awesome.
there for a emergency domestic situation involving shower hardware.
Kinky.
Is that a euphemism?
No, I really wish it was code for something, but that's what happens when you've been married for 10 years. You have bathroom hardware and measuring things and domesticity. Woo!
And, open this jar for me.
Yeah. Only happened like once.
After 10 years, you would actually imagine knowing each other's measurements, but hey.
Oh no. Well,
Speaking of, have y'all seen that? Have y'all seen that new feature that they've added to the latest version of iOS?
No?
Yeah. Now your phone, your iPhone, has the capability of measuring things in pictures.
Oh, actually seen that, yeah.
So what the fuck? They're like fact checking us now.
well, I'm gonna tell you, that's gonna change.
It's only
I mean, you send a picture and everything. It has this little picture of Maury Povich popping up. You know, that's a lie.
Well, you know what?
it's actually a measurement for all the broader females to not be able to hide their true size.
I was gonna say that I gotta tell you though.
You know how they always take the picture from above to look more appealing? And then you get the measurements like, wait a minute.
There's a dark side to that too, though. I mean, it's gonna ruin dick pics.
That's actually
That's what I was saying, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the dick pics are gonna.
Okay, it
Hey,
just moves
check it
a
out.
decimal point.
Convert to metric and then convert back. Oh. All right. Well, I can't. Yeah, I'm starting to, like I said, not make any sense even to myself, which is not so. So I think unless any of you have a topic that you strongly want to talk about, I'm probably going to call it for the evening. Does anyone object?
Yeah, I'm good.
No.
All
But I
right.
do think Carthage needs to be destroyed.
Yes.
You think what needs to be destroyed?
Carthage.
Carthage. Okay, well the Morton
Hold on a
salt
sec.
help with that.
One sec.
Like, what is the big salt company in Sweden? In America, Morton is. The
I
name of
was
salt.
gonna say, I mean, if y'all are up for sacking Carthage, I'm free next Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. Hey,
Put
let's
it
go on
on
a trip.
calendar.
Road trip.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming in. Please check out the Dead Red Herring channel. I am not. Farrell and I are just happy guests tonight. Like these guys, Magnus and Roland, do really, really good podcast. I listen to it all the time, and they are criminally undersubbed. So their link is in their description. Please check out their channel. I'm Arkatsuke, and I don't have an ending catchphrase, so everyone say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.